So good afternoon once again. We're so glad to have Officer Randy Diaz here with us this afternoon. My name is Bukola Kimbola from the LAP department, MSD of Wayne Township. And I have Mr. William Esquivel right here with us this afternoon also in this session. Always, we are happy to see our families and want to give them as much information as possible to make life easier for them. So this afternoon, we are so grateful that Officer Diaz has agreed to come to this session with us. So we will be asking him some questions so that we will create that enlightenment for our families to know what to do and to also gets to be educated about the basic things that our police officers need to offer to our community. So without wasting time, I have Officer Randy Diaz from the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. And I'm not going to finish all the introduction. I'm going to give him time to properly introduce himself, and then we'll get to work. Over to you, officer.
Well, thank you guys for having me here. I'm very excited to be a part of this Zoom meeting that have become very common and during these recent times. I've missed working with you guys and going back into the community, and this is the way we got to do it, and we're going to work with what we got. I am Officer Randy Diaz with the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department, and I work the Immigrant Outreach Unit. And so my job is to work with the immigrants and to assist them in any way that we possibly can with information, with any questions they have, giving knowledge on what we can do as police officers, what we cannot do as police officers, what should you do if you get pulled over, what is a good way to communicate with us if you have an issue in your community. Just pretty much anything that I can assist with, I am happy and I will assist anybody with it.
Thank you. Officer, in a short summary, how would you describe the work of police officers generally in our community? Just in a summary.
The work, so our main goal is to keep the community safe. We're here to maintain the safety of all the individuals here in Indianapolis and even the people visiting, and serve the community while we're protecting the community so that when the community comes to us with a need, we can assist as much as possible. And we're all happy to do it. This is why I became police officers, and I know that I definitely enjoy what I do.
Good. Thank you so much. We know in recent times, so many things have happened in our nation, in our community, that have sent different messages all around. And of course, we have some misconceptions. So how would you describe some misconceptions immigrants might have for cops generally that probably may be untrue?
Well, working with the immigrants and people from all over the world that are here in Indianapolis, we see people that come with a different perspective of the police. And in recent times, it's been on the news of all these things that are going on against the police. But that mixed with the experiences that some people have been unfortunate enough to have gone through, the ways that they've been treated in other countries by the police officer, the military. And I just want to say that right now, we've always been trying to assist. We've always been trying to get out into the communities and assist. It's been a little bit difficult with the perception that some people have of the police, but ultimately we are here to serve and protect everybody. And so if you have a question, if you want to get to know us, please reach out to me and I can connect people. I work with pretty much the whole department and anything that people need. So please feel free to come with me with questions, or we got many different programs that we're working with children. I work with immigrants. We got assisting with adults. We got assisting with parolees. We got so many different things that we do that a lot of people don't know that can help people, especially in this time of need.
Okay. So how would you say some of those misconceptions maybe cops are generally they're mean or they're wicked, they're out to kill, to hurt, right?
A lot of people can have that, especially if they've seen it with their own eyes in their countries that they come from, or even here, people have seen things that might lead people to believe that something happened, and that's how we all are. Officers, we are human beings. We make mistakes. I don't defend every single officer of every action. I wasn't there when a lot of things have happened, but I can say that we all are here to serve and protect. You should not be afraid to approach one of us and say, "Hi, how are you doing?" Or, "Hey, I'm in crisis and need help. Can you help me?" That should be something that everybody should be able to go, no matter the color of your skin, no matter whether you're male or female, no matter your race, your religion, your sexuality. None of that matters to us.
Right.
What matters is that we are here to serve you and that we are here for the community. And our greatest concern is your safety. And we all signed up to become police officers, the protectors that we are. That's why we train. That's why we do the things that we do. And I hope that this fear and the perception that people have can start going away as people start to get to know the department and know who we are more.
Okay. Thank you. And that being said, what are some of those behaviors that needs to be avoided, probably in front of the police officers, that may trigger reactions, from the cop? Maybe some things that immigrants especially, or of course everyone, all of our families out there, who kind of want to watch out for, that might trigger any reaction at all from a cop?
The first thing I always say is, as much as we know, sometimes when you come across an officer, it can be scary because you have someone in a uniform telling you what to do. And from my experience of working with lots of immigrants, when they see that, it might trigger an emotion, a negative emotion. Even if people are here and they were arrested, sometimes that feeling can trigger an emotion where you're like, oh, I had a bad experience because this happened to me. But what I always say is try to remain calm, try to listen to what the officers are saying, the directions, follow the directions. Don't make any sudden movements. If you're being pulled over, just remain calm. Keep your hands on the steering wheel where it's visible. If you're a passenger, keep your hands on the dash. Just work with the police, and we will definitely work with you, especially if there's a language gap and you don't understand English very well, or if you are just struggling to learn. Try to speak what little bits of English. Many of us do learn different language. We start learning English as we start being here. We start picking up on the most common things and start, like I need help or help. And just if we can start trying to communicate in a calm manner, then we will always work with you guys and try to understand what's going on and try to do the best that we can to keep the community safe. Most commonly, we all have to drive wherever we go. And there's so many different traffic violations, so many different things that legally we can get pulled over for. Maybe it could be something we don't even know. Your license plate light might be out, cracked windshield, just so many different things that is out there that you can get pulled over for. That is a way that we can come across a police officer. One of the things that I always explain is to take your wallet, your registration, and your insurance, and you put it up on the visor, right above the driver's seat or the steering wheel. You tuck it in there. That's a good place to have it, because when we come across a traffic stop, we don't know what we're walking up on, and we're not saying that people are dangerous, but we could be pulling over somebody who committed a violent crime, and in our minds, well, that person's got a license plate out, something very minor, something that we're just gonna pull somebody over and deal with that issue, and their minds might be going, well, I committed this robbery, or this happened and now I'm getting caught. And so it could be that fear of going, oh, here's the police. We're again in our mind. So we always have to be alert what we are going to do, what can happen. It's one of the most dangerous things that we have to do every single day, because we have to keep everyone safe. And part of that is enforcing the traffic laws. And because we don't want people driving around and getting in accidents, speeding, and people getting hurt and losing their lives. So when we enforce those laws, when we do that traffic stop, it can be very dangerous. And so that's the most common way that people can come across the police officer, because we all have to drive everywhere we go. And like I said, if you have something wrong with your vehicle, or you miss a turn and don't signal, or just out of the so many different ways that you can get pulled over, that now you find yourself pulled over, and you're obviously going to be nervous. What I explain is, even us as police officers, when we drive a regular car that's not our police car, we can still get pulled over. We don't all know each other. There's so many officers on this department. We have new officers coming in. We have officers from different departments. We can drive into Speedway, Beech Grove, and then you get pulled over. We still have to do the same thing. Keep our hands on our steering wheel, remain calm. If you're struggling with speaking English, please keep your documents up there, because when we come up, we're going to ask you for your license, your registration. If you don't know how to explain and your license is in a purse or in a wallet or in the center console, there could be a weapon in there. And now you have an officer telling you, I want to see these documents, but you don't know how to go and tell them, the officer, here's where it is. You start reaching for it. Officer might think, well, you might be getting a weapon. It's like I said, we don't know the intention of the people we're pulling over. So very, very dangerous. And what I don't want is something bad to happen because of miscommunication. If you have your documents up in that visor, you can point to it and, say license, or try. And that way we can just go and we can see if there's a gun there, because, you pull out a knife, we can back away. But a gun is a little bit more dangerous and puts us in a more situation that we are more fearful. And so that way you can go and say point, you pull it down and drops right in your lap, hand it to the officer. And it's just a very, very safe way, instead of you having to explain, my documents are in this purse. And if you can't say that, the officer, you start digging in there, officer might think you're doing something. Officer might say, hey, stop.
Right.
We get anxious, and then the person's nervous and they get anxious, and then we just don't want bad things to happen.
I totally understand that, officer. And I am so tempted to say that it's a natural thing for anyone to get anxious seeing a cop, anyone in a uniform, just pulling you over and talking to you. Many people are already jittery. They don't know, they're confused. They don't know what to do. They do, right there and then. So it's a natural thing. But thank you for that response and explanation. Just one or two more, and I promise you I'll release you, officer.
You're fine.
So my next question is about Crime Watch.
Okay.
So we know that Crime Watch, people we watch all these documentary and things about Crime Watch every time. So my question is, are families safe if they report a crime, and are they safe from retaliation from perpetrators, or how can you enlighten us, per Crime Watch thing?
So when we talk about Crime Watch, so we do have a Crime Watch system in neighborhoods, and each district has I don't know the exact title, but I think it's Crime Watch coordinator, and they help neighborhoods form crime watches. And we encourage that greatly, because it's something where we live in these neighborhoods, right? And so if we have someone committing crimes in the neighborhoods that we live in and no one reports it, so you might see something and you might have this fear, like you said, the retaliation, or you might be afraid of the police, but then we as officers don't get that information that and then the people doing these crimes might take this as an opportunity, then go and say, hey, here's a large immigrant population. I'm going to target this community, and I'm going to keep victimizing them, breaking into their cars, breaking into their homes, maybe committing robberies. Just so many things that can happen, because they know and understand that if no one's going to call the police on me, and I'm just going to keep doing these things. So it's very important for people to call the police and let us know. When we get that information, then we can formulate a plan on how to better address the issues in the neighborhoods that are letting us know that these things are going on. And so there is no retaliation. We try to keep the victim. We don't put their information out into for everyone to see, because we do want to keep that information from being out public. Now, some reports can be made public, but that is something that people have to request, and there are redactions and things that don't get put out into the community. As far as when people go and make a police report, it's very, very important, because like I said, you could see something and we might be aware of it, but what you saw might be the little piece of information that we need to solve that crime and find the person. Just something as simple as, what time did the crime occur? That way we know, okay, we know there, this happened between this time and this time. Is there any cameras? We start looking and now we know.
In a situation where the reporter is undocumented, yes, and you find out that, the reporter might be scared that, okay, now I'm reporting to the police. So am I not going to be asked, all these frightening questions about my documents, about how, and that kind of puts or creates fear on that individual. You get what I'm saying?
I completely understand.
You don't want to go forth because it's going to lead to some other things, some other questioning about your personal status and stuff like that. So how do you address that if one finds himself in that situation?
Well, we, as IMPD, we're not ICE. We don't have the powers to deport anybody. So that question of whether you have a document or not is not something that matters or should even be asked if you are going in to do a report. Because we are there, like I said, for the protection of everybody in the community. And so when we go in to do a report, we're just trying to find out what happened and how can we better address this issue. Whether you're documented or not should even come up, because it doesn't matter. It's not something that if someone tells me, well, I'm documented, it's okay, there's nothing I can do about it. So it's not something that I need to know. So it's not something that we ask. Now, can someone go and say, hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm from, Mexico, or I'm from Nigeria. That's not a problem, because, oh, cool. I know people from Nigeria. I know people from Mexico. I know people from all over the world. That's okay. We can ask. But even if someone says, well, I'm not undocumented, like I said, that's nothing to do with what we're there for. We're there to find out the information to assist and serve the community so that we can keep protecting everybody.
Thank you so much. So what would you say, the final question, so what would you say are the procedures or steps to follow if you're making a crime report?
So very, very important. One of the things that I used to be a detective, and one of the things that was most difficult for me to come across was when people would say, I made a police report and the police didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. And that you hear that sometimes, and sometimes it is the lack of information that we get as officers. It's very, very hard to go and say, I'm looking for a white male, a African-American male, a Latino male with a hoodie and nothing else. Or if someone says, I got robbed and someone took my cell phone. Now, cell phones, there's so many different make, models, colors, all these things that we have with our phones. But if I go and say, well, what phone did you have? And they say, well, it was a iPhone 10. Now we go, okay, how many iPhone 10s are there? There's so many different ones. And so I can't go and just stop anybody with an iPhone 10 just because someone reported that they were robbed and their iPhone 10 was taken. So I'm very, very passionate about educating the people in recording your serial numbers. So most of us have camera phones. Please take a picture of your serial number, the item that it is, email it to yourself or write it down so that when we show up as officers, you have what it is, what color, what price, and a serial number. Because those are the information that we get, because iPhone 10 doesn't really help us. if everyone else has an iPhone 10. iPhone 10 with a serial number 123 ABC. Well, if I stop this person on a separate investigation and he has iPhone with serial number 123 ABC, well, now I know that that belongs to this victim. I can go and talk to this person. Where'd you get this from? Yeah, I stole it, or I was this. And however we get that information, now we can work with that. And so one of the things in your home, take your phones, take pictures of jewelry that is precious to you, anything that is of value, because if it gets taken, it's very, very hard to describe a diamond ring or a ring or a necklace or jewelry that we have. It's very, very hard to describe this, that sometimes to certain people, it's valuable, but sometimes it's irreplaceable because of where it came from. And if you have a picture, you can give that to the officer. We can see it. So if we come across it on our daily patrols, then I can say, oh, this piece of jewelry belongs to this person. And I know because this detective got that picture, emailed it to everybody. We all looked at it. So now I know. And on top of that, I can return it to the person who it was taken from. But now I know that whoever I got it from might be a suspect. So just always have something where you have your name, your address, your date of birth, phone number, all these different things of information that we need to complete a report so that we can give these documents or whatever was taken back to you. And then when we find it during the course of investigation or patrols, we can go and work with whoever had it and conduct our investigation and then ultimately return it to you guys.
Okay, officer. So how can we, our community, our family stay safe, especially as the weather is changing and, we're going into another season? How can we stay safe?
Well, one of the things that I like to talk about is around this time last year, if we saw people putting on a mask that covers your face, people would think, well, that's suspicious. And, sometimes we get a lot of calls about people putting on masks and going into businesses. And sometimes we would be able to show up and catch a robbery suspect because that's exactly what was going on. Well, now in this year, if we see people walking around with their faces covered in their masks, wearing their masks, then we just think about it as people doing the right thing and trying to social distance and wearing their masks. So one of the things that I advise to people is please be extra vigilant and be aware of your surroundings. Be aware that there are going to be people wearing masks, and that we need to watch out for each other more than ever, and make those reports when we think that when we see people committing the crimes. Now, especially if you start noticing thefts, burglaries in your communities, even more important to say that, because like again I said, if we saw people walking around in masks last year, that might bring some attention, but now we are all wearing masks to keep each other safe, and so that could be something that people might take advantage of and target the immigrant community and just target the community in general.
Okay, that's very important. I think it's an important piece of our time right now, the difficult and challenging time. So our families want to take caution and be very aware of what might come out through that situation. So thank you for that insight. Are there any things you want to add?
Yes, just if you become a victim, very, very important. Sometimes I speak to people and they said, my car got broken into. And I said, what'd they take? They took some music CDs that I had in there, or they took my wallet, but it was empty. I didn't really leave my money in there. And I said, did you make a report? And they go, no, it wasn't that big of a deal. Well, if you are a victim today of that crime, and I know and understand that it might not be a big of a deal to you because maybe they only took $10 and you're like, I'm not going to call the police. It's just $10. I'm not going to worry about it. Well, tomorrow someone else might become a victim of something bigger just because they were like, well, I did this today and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. And if we don't, again, very important, communicate to the police department, make these police reports, make us aware. You can even let us know that these things happen. Like, hey, my car got broken into, this happened. And then that way the officers know, okay, where, what time are these crimes occurring? Again, especially because more and more people will be out wearing their masks. Might try to take advantage of that and commit crimes. And so our overall goal is to keep everybody safe, no matter where you're from, no matter who you are, no matter what's going on. We want everyone to be safe. We want everyone's quality of life to be better. And that's how we work to gain, to get that goal, is to go and make sure that we know the information, and with that information we could protect the people that we're serving. But sometimes we don't know without your guys' help. We are all a team. You know, if I can't help William if I don't know William needs help. I can't help you, Miss Akinbola, if I don't know you need help. But if you tell me, then I might not be able to give you all the answers, but we can work with that. And so we need to start looking as everybody as a team. And that's how I want people to see police officers, is we all work together. We are all trying to do our best, whether it's people from the community, the department, and by achieving that, by working together as a community, we can make this city safer, and we can make things better, and that's what we'll ultimately achieve. And Ms. Akinbola, if I can say the same thing, I wanted to give everyone my information, and please feel free to contact me. I do not respond to 911. Please do not. If you're having an emergency, dial 911. But if you have any questions, any issues, anything that you think I can assist you with, even if it's just to say hi, I always say hi to everybody. Please have my email. I do whatever I can to assist you and work with the community. My email address is Randy, RANDY .Diaz, DIAZ, @indy.gov. And like I said, just please feel free to email me if you have any questions, if you have anything to happen. I work with the whole department and assisting in whatever I can. If you need to get information, if you need to get in contact with a detective over a case, and you don't know what's going on, or whatever I can assist, please feel free to let me know, and I can assist any way possible.
I would like to add this, officer. Thank you so much. But before we go, do you also delve into immigration issues?
Immigration issues? What do you mean by immigration issues?
You just mentioned that if they have any questions,
Mm-hmm.
they're free to contact you, and that's why, because some of our families might think, oh, okay, this is an officer that is very approachable, it's very nice. Okay, let me ask if he can help me. And I know the question might be a little off, but I just want to put it out there.
Yeah, sure.
So there will be no misconception. People know what exactly to meet you for. So they don't just assume that, okay, we have this officer, this cool officer that we can just, whatever we want.
So when it comes, sometimes people ask me about, they'll come and say, well, how do I get my documents, or how I'm undocumented? So so when people ask me something like that, the only thing I can really say to them is to get with an immigration lawyer, because that's not something that I work with. That's not something that I can do anything about. That is out of, like I said, outside. We are not immigration. And when people do come to me with those type of questions, the only thing I can do is just say, you'll have to speak to an immigration lawyer and work with that. And I welcome those questions, because sometimes if you don't ask, you don't know.
Right.
And I'll help you either way I can. Sometimes people come to me with civil questions. Well, I bought this and they were supposed to pay me this amount. They didn't pay me this amount, and we had disagreement. And that's also a civil issue. That is not something where something was stolen. It was just something where you guys are not in agreement with how much you should have paid for either services or for product. That's something where you need to take that to civil court, because ultimately it's not a crime, it's a disagreement. And even when people come to me with those type of issues, I'll just say, that's not something that was done maliciously. It's something that it's a a civil disagreement that needs to be addressed in civil court.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. ¿Podría, por favor, hacernos un resumen para todas las familias que hablan en español? Gracias.
Yes, sir. Hola, ¿cómo están? Yo soy el oficial Randy Diaz. Yo ayudo a los inmigrantes. El trabajo mío es trabajar con todos los inmigrantes aquí en la ciudad de Indianápolis. Una de las cosas que hablamos hoy es de los oficiales y cómo está todo en la comunidad. Primero lo que le quiero explicar es que estamos aquí para ayudarlo y asistirlo, protegerlos a todos. Por favor, no se siente con miedo. Cuando estamos ahí para ayudar y darle servicio a la gente, proteger. Si se encuentran en una situación en que la policía lo para, hay muchas diferentes razones por qué la policía puede parar a una persona en un vehículo. Siempre manténgase tranquilo, con calma. Los oficiales van a llegar y van a tratar necesitan identificación, licencia y la registración del vehículo, el registro. Entonces, una cosa que es bien importante para mí, que quiero que sepan, es que si no tienen los documentos listos, por favor, cogen los documentos y ponlo encima donde vas del vehículo. Se puede tener la licencia y el registro en la visera, y ahí, si lo tienen ahí, cuando la policía le pregunta por los documentos, le puede decir licencia, pueden señalar arriba. Entonces pueden bajar eso y ahí está la licencia listo para los oficiales y los documentos. Es algo que es más fácil si alguien está nervioso, que nosotros sabemos que si lo paramos la policía es algo bien que puede ser nervioso. Nosotros como oficiales, cuando andamos en la calle fuera de trabajo, también nos pueden parar la policía. Somos muchísimos, no nos conocemos todos. A veces podemos ir a otra ciudad. También puede pararnos la policía en esos momentos. Y también nosotros hacemos lo mismo, siempre mantener la mano adelante. Si eres pasajero, puedes levantar la mano y ponerlo adelante, donde uno puede poner la mano. Y ahí es algo visible que podemos ver y podemos ayudarlos más fácil. Nosotros nos sentimos más tranquilos cuando vemos que la gente está cooperando con nosotros. Y algo que también, si alguien no tiene, como vamos a poner la licencia en una cartera o abajo en el asiento, puede uno, cuando los oficiales le preguntan por la licencia y registro, es bien difícil uno explicarle en inglés si uno no sabe que ahí es que está esos documentos. Entonces, como es algo bien peligroso para nosotros como oficiales, porque no sabemos en qué situación nos vamos a encontrar cuando paramos a una persona, para usted explicarle, bueno, tengo los documentos aquí. Cuando la gente no sabe comunicar esa información a los oficiales, la gente comienza a moverse o buscar algo. Nos pone nosotros nerviosos porque no sabemos qué están haciendo, ni sabemos qué es lo que están buscando. Y es algo que, como una parada de tráfico, es una de las cosas más peligrosas que podemos hacer, porque no sabemos lo que piensa la persona cuando lo paramos. Vamos a poner, alguien puede hacer un crimen bien violento y nosotros como oficiales estamos manejando y vemos a alguien que, vamos a poner que le falta una luz en el vehículo, podemos pararlo por la luz. La persona puede pensar, bueno, ya están aquí los oficiales por algo que hice ese violento, y ahí es algo que en la cabeza de nosotros vamos para algo pequeño, pero para la persona que estamos parando puede pensar que es algo que hicieron violento, y ahí se puede ver algo, puede pasar algo malo. Entonces, por eso manténgase con calma. Nosotros nos sentimos más cómodos cuando la gente está cómodo y están cooperando con nosotros. La otra cosa de que hablamos es de qué podemos hacer nosotros. Nosotros cuando lo paramos o cuando hablamos con la gente en la comunidad, no es importante saber si tiene documentos o no tiene documentos. No es algo que preguntamos, no es algo que necesitamos para un reporte. Entonces, no es algo que quiero que estén preocupados, pero nosotros no somos inmigración. Nosotros somos oficiales de la ciudad que estamos aquí para proteger y servir la comunidad. Entonces, si tiene documentos o no tienes documentos, no es algo que nos importa a nosotros. Solamente estamos ahí para ayudarlo y asistirlo con su reporte con lo que usted necesite. Si ven crimen, por favor reporte el crimen, porque algo que alguien vio y no reporte ese crimen es algo importante para nosotros que sabemos para mejorar cómo podemos ir a ayudar esa comunidad. A veces alguien ve algo y por miedo puede ver un crimen y por miedo a la policía porque son inmigrantes o porque no saben inglés o porque no tienen documentos, esa información no nos llega a nosotros y entonces es algo que puede ayudar en buscar la persona que cometió ese error, ese crimen. Si con esa información que usted dio, pero no nos dio a nosotros por temor o por cualquier razón que no habló con la policía. Es bien importante, por favor, que nos quedamos en comunicación, la comunidad y el departamento, para mejor protegerlos a todos. Algo que yo digo, siempre tengan listo documentos de todos. Por favor, si tienen un teléfono con cámara, tómale una foto a todas las cosas que sean de valor. A nosotros los oficiales nos mandan correos electrónicos buscando joyería, cosas bien preciosas para la gente que le robaron, y es bien difícil que de alguien cuando nos manden a nosotros dice, estoy buscando un anillo de diamante. Bueno, hay muchísimos de eso, pero si alguien le toma una foto y lo manda y lo tiene ahí listo, cuando el oficial llega o los oficiales llegan, ahí pueden mandarle esa foto. Los oficiales lo mandan a nosotros los que estamos trabajando. Si hay alguien lo ve y después a lo que está trabajando para una persona y después encuentra eso ahí, uno primero nos regresa a la propiedad. También podemos ver cómo esta persona llegó a tener esa cosa que no es de ellos, y ahí podemos hacer la investigación y ayudarlos como podemos. Lo último que le voy a dejar es mi información. Quiero que ustedes todos tengan mi correo electrónico. Es algo que le voy a dar a William, pues yo no sé si cómo él puede darle a la gente, pero por favor no le tenga miedo. Yo no estoy trabajando de emergencia. Si tienen una emergencia, por favor llamen 911. Pero si tienen cualquier pregunta, algo con que yo lo puedo asistir, por favor mándenme un correo electrónico con preguntas, con cualquier cosa, hasta para decir hola, ¿cómo está el oficial? Yo siempre digo hola, ¿cómo están? Pero mi correo electrónico es Randy, RANDY.Diaz, DIAZ, @indy, INDY.gov. G-O-V. Gracias a todos, por favor, si no pudieron, está William ahí. William tiene mi información, puede comunicarse conmigo. Yo estoy aquí para ustedes, estoy aquí para ayudar a la comunidad en cualquier forma que puedo. Por favor, no tengan miedo, estamos aquí para ayudarlo.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for all this information that has been rolled out this afternoon. We are thankful, and we know that these are very helpful to our families and are important, so that everyone will be educated about what to do when things happen or when things are about to happen. So to take the right steps is very, very important. Yes. Thank you so much. So families,
No problem.
Families, you have heard. We will be putting this on our YouTube channel for you to watch at any time, to always refer to. Again, we want to appreciate the officer that has given out his time today for this interview session. We are always grateful to him because he's always ready anytime, to help. So thank you, and we will bring this session to a close. And of course, we know we can always rely on your expertise anytime we need you to come over. LAP department appreciates you, and we families also do. Thank you so much, and you have for yourself a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.